guys, I'm Paulivia. I'm a 7th semester student from Petro Christian University, majoring in International Business Management. In this video, I would like to share about my self-assessment along with the analysis using the action learning framework that developed by Professor Dr. Casey Chan. In this video, I also would like to share about what have I learned in IBM and also how I am going to implement it in the real business world that I am going to face right now. So without further ado, enjoy the video! Before I continue, I would like to open this video using the opening axiom from Billie Jean King, which is I think self-awareness is probably the most important thing towards being a champion. Okay, before we enter to the self-assessment, I would like to share about what have I learned, especially from Professor Dr. Casey Chan. First thing first, I learned about how to think in a critical way. So previously, I only accept the information that is exposed to me, but now I tend to think about why those events can be happened, and then I also learn to think in a systematic way, so that now I know about how the events can be happen. Last but not least, I also learned about using action learning in everything that I do. So, I like to apply every lesson that I learned that are applicable to my life. Okay, now let's move on to the self-assessment. I'm going to share my self-assessment using the action learning model. Now let's go deeper to the first equation, which is what under the holistic thinking. In this equation, I would like to use the Venn diagram that consists of self-awareness, relationship management, and self-management. About the self-awareness, I would like to share my learning style. The result shows that my learning style is more to the reflector and pragmatist. Reflector here means that I like to think in details. I also like to take thoughtful approach. I am also a good listener and adapt low profile. I like to go through a good preparation, and also I like to make decisions in my own time. However, for the pragmatist, I like to see how things work in practice. I also down to earth. I appreciate the opportunity to try out what have I learned, and I like to see the relevance of my work. Also, I am a credible role model. And now let's move on to my GED test. According to the test, I scored best for the need for achievement, drive and determination, and need of autonomy. Need for achievement means that I am a forward-looking, optimistic, persistent, and result-oriented person. Drive and determination means that I like to take advantage of opportunities, discount fate, also have self-confidence. Need of autonomy means that I like to do unconventional things, prefer working alone, express what I think, and also dislike taking order. And now let's move on to my Big 5 personality test. In this test, I scored the best in agreeableness that I have full points that are 30 out of 30. The meaning of the agreeableness here is I like to adjust my behavior in order to suit others, and I am also a polite person. And now, let's move on to the self-relationship management, which is using the Bell-Beans model. In this test, I scored the best for completer finisher, which is under action-oriented roles. The meaning of completer finisher here is I am a painstaking, conscientious, anxious, like to search out errors, and also deliver on-time person. About the self-management, I have been tested using the leadership test, and for this test, I scored the best in leading team, which is the full point that is 20 out of 20. Leading teams here means that I like to work hard to create an environment where people work together, and I am inspired to contribute full potential to establishment and accomplishment of mutual goals. And after knowing about my test, the self-awareness and relationship management combined become the expert power. The expert power that I have here is I am able to lead the team to achieve the goal with my personality, which are pragmatist, reflector, needs for achievement, drive and determination, need of autonomy, and also agreeableness. Next, the relationship management altogether with self-management will create the communicative power, which here means that I am willing to lead the team using my style in order to finish the jobs. The self-awareness together with self-management will create the adaptive power, which is I am able to lead the team by adapting the culture and behavior that each individual in my team has. Those three aspects integrated altogether become the self-development, which is very important for individuals in order to enrich and strengthen their knowledge and experiences. For me, my possible attributes of self-development according to the test will be adaptable, collaborative, independent, and pragmatic. And now let's move on to the second equation, which is 5 times why under the critical thinking. The first why will be why does the self-assessment is important. It is because self-assessment is very useful in order to define the power and also the personality of one person. And then the second why will be why does knowing the personality and strength of the person are really useful. It is because the person can focus on what kind of job that they can do the best along with the matching personality of the job itself. The next why will be why doing the best is very important. It is because there are intense competitions in the surrounding and thus the fittest will win. The fourth why does it better to match the job with the personality? It is because by doing so, the person will do it wholeheartedly and thus can encourage them to do better. And finally, the last why will be why does doing the job with wholeheartedly is very important. It is because it can give a lot of positive energy to the surrounding and thus can make the working environment becomes better by integrating those individual, team, and organizational cultures and behavior. And after that, I should think about what next should I do in the future. First thing that I will do is graduating from IBM Petra with my best effort and best score. Secondly, I am planning to gain a lot of new experiences from the internship that I am going to do. After that, I plan to learn Mandarin in China so that I can make a better connection with people globally by not only using English. Next, I'm going to learn from the professional about how to do business professionally. And finally, I'm going to help my parents' business by understanding the existing system and formulating strategy, also test out the strategy and keep learning by doing so that I can implement the action learning that I learned from Professor Dr. Casey Chan's class. And now let's move on to the third equation, which are who, how, and when under the system thinking. Equation, I would like to use the building blocks of competence, starting with the bottom parts, which are intelligence, personality traits and preferences, and values, interests, motives, or goals. The intelligence that I have will be independent and pragmatic. For the personality traits and preference will be the adaptable and collaborative, and for the values, interests, motives, or goals will be patient in great planning and execution of strategy. And now, let's move on to the second stage of the building blocks, which is knowledge and experience. For knowledge, I am currently in progress of my bachelor degree in IBM Petra Christian University, and for experience, I already had on-the-job training at PT Samator Gas Industry. For the knowledge, I will enrich it by learning Mandarin in China because I believe that language is the intermediary of the knowledge. And for the experiences, I'm planning to learn more by having another working experiences. And now, let's go to the top of the building blocks, which is the skills and competence. For the skills and competencies that I have good calculation, good communication, good logic and analytical that are very useful in order to have a good improvement in my skills and competencies. And now, let's move on to the how. So I will use the input process output model, which consists of self-awareness, which is what I know, and then process it to the relationship management and reach the self-management, which is what I want to be. and then keep maintain it with the self-development, which is how I perform. Let's start from the output, which is the self-management. I want to be a successful businesswoman that can run international-based company and later on run my own business using the global standard. And now, let's move on to the input, which is the self-awareness. So, according to the personality test, my learning style will be pragmatist and reflector. My GET test showing that I have the tendency of need for achievement, drive and determination, also need of autonomy. According to Big 5 personality test, I have the biggest tendency to the agreeableness. And next from the Belpin's model, I have the best score for completer finisher. And finally, for the leadership test, I have tendency in leading team. And now let's move on to the process, which is the relationship management. The relationship management will be measured from the dimension of time or experience in the x-axis and learning and behavioral change in the y-axis. First of all, I would like to say that I'm coming from the unconscious incompetence, and that's why I need to learn and gain the experience. After learning and have some experiences, I'm becoming the conscious incompetence. After a while, I'm becoming conscious competence and start having great skills. It is very important to know about what skills can I have after some time or experiences in learning and behavioral change. And when I continue it, I will reach the unconscious competence where I can get my competence and keep improving until finally I can get into the mastery where I have the ability. And now, let's move on to the final step, which is the self-development. In order to measure my self-development, I would like to use the key measurements, which consist of skill, competence, and ability in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years for the time measurement. The key that is stressed here is the continuous improvement from year to year. And now, let's move on to when. So in this stage, I will use the strategic, business, and tactical along with the building blocks of competence in order to create the portfolio, program, and project. My portfolio will be becoming a successful businesswoman and contributes to the community surrounding. My program will be joining both formal and informal education in order to get the great qualification to adapt in business environment. My project is gather as much experience as I can in order to become more capable business person by simply joining other companies that already successful in managing their business. So this is my timeline. For the first year, I would like to have internship in order to sharpen my skills that I didn't get from the formal education, and also I will graduate from IBM Petra Christian University. For the third year, I would like to learn Mandarin since it is getting more important, and also learn more by working in professional companies. For 5 years, I will help my parents with the existing business and find strategy to expand the market. Lastly, for the 10th year, I will make sure that the strategy that I have formulated and implemented will work stably, and also making contingency plan in case that something is a little bit off. Now let's move on to where, which is lesson learned. The self-development is a transition process from the core competence going through the distinct competence. The process will start from inside and then go to motivation, new knowledge and skills, real-world application, and accountability. Usually, the first 3 steps, which are inside motivation, new knowledge, and skills, will work properly or go right. However, the real-world application and accountability might go wrong because there are some gaps between the theory and reality. Now, let's move on to the how much, which is the lateral thinking. So in order to measure it well, I would like to use the 6 thinking hats that are already integrated with the 8 A's power and action, and then score it accordingly. That being said, I have the total score of 49 out of 60. After that, it will go back to the action learning, and the process will keep repeating as we do it, since action learning has the meaning of learning by doing. And now to summarize, I will use this pyramid which consists of organization, team, and individual in order to sum up about my personality test. And I would like to say that the individual attitude will come firstly from the learning style, and then to the personality, and then to the team behavior, and come to leadership, and they work back and forth from different ways until it can reach the harmony and become the entrepreneurship. So that's all from me, and before I close the video, I would like to close it with the closing axiom, which is come from the Balthasar Gracian. Self-reflection is the school of wisdom. So this is the end of my video. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you guys can get something from my video. So that's all. Bye!